fucking thing, every fucking 24 hours this comes up. Okay, so, I did have a cool, lucid dream, like 3 days in a row or whatever, over the weekend. Okay, so, like, well, this video is about the zombie, this patient that escaped the hospital room, walking down the street. But I haven't really been getting any out-of-body experiences, virtual reality experiences by Joel. He hasn't been real active lately. But yeah, I did, it was kind of funny, like the other night I went to the grocery store and I saw some India people, a mom and the 2 kids, and, so that morning, the next morning, I had this funny ass, like lucid kind of dream. It was a little better than a dream, so I'll call it a lucid dream. And anyway, I was like in this freaking rich ass India family's house. I mean, they were like totally rich. So I was in their big old house, mansion, whatever you call it. And for whatever reason, I was just standing there, and there was like the man, or the husband, and the mom standing there. And for whatever reason, they were sitting there saying how they paid $7,000 a day for somebody to babysit their 5 kids, their 5 children. And then they said, but one of the kids was out of commission or somewhere. So they were paying $5,000 a day for 4 kids, to babysit 4 kids. And I don't know why the alien put all that in there, but I know it copied off of that India mom and the 2 children, or Pakistan, whatever they are, India, Middle Eastern mom and the 2 kids that I just saw at the grocery store at 9 o'clock that night. Or, I mean, at 9 o'clock that night, and then the next morning I had this funny dream, you know, about the India family. And, but anyway, so, I was thinking in my head as I was standing there, like, I was thinking in my head, dang, I need to do that job, you know, because it paid, you know, they paid so well or whatever. And there was more to it, but it was just, you know, like a lucid dream. But anyway, okay, so a couple others I had after that, like yesterday and the day before or whatever, was kind of interesting. Yesterday morning, it was really weird. Like, I was at an amusement park, and it was like me, my sister, my niece, a couple other people, and it was like her boyfriend. And we were in this, no, this part was virtual reality though. So it's like these 2 couple of dreams that I had a couple days ago. There was a couple virtual reality elements. And, you know, like I literally was was riding on this ride, and it was, you know, it was fun. We were just like kind of like going up and down and around in a circle, a big circle, and like up and down and around in a big circle. And I mean, it was total virtual reality, and I have been on rides, you know, like that before. So the alien was kind of mimicking that. But yeah, and anyway, but the funny thing was, it was like as we were going around up and down in a circle, and like I said, that part was freaking real. It was fun. And I didn't even get sick or anything. In real life, I probably would. But, so, yeah, and what was really weird was, I don't know, somehow the alien created it to make us think that we were supposed to try to solve a puzzle. We were supposed to try to solve a puzzle as we were going around in circles, like me, my sister, my niece, and her boyfriend or whatever. Like, as we were like, and I was looking around, you know, as I was on the ride, going around in circles, going up and down, around in circles, you know, pretty big circle. I was thinking, how the heck are we supposed to solve this puzzle? Like, I don't understand, you know? But anyway, we never did solve it. But it's like we were supposed to, it was something within the ride, like we were supposed to be looking at, I don't know, the way we were going up and down and around in circles, we were supposed to somehow solve this puzzle. Like, just looking at the mechanics of the ride. I don't know, it was just really weird. But that part was kind of virtual reality. And then, but there were some other parts to it too. And then, like another lucid dream after that. And like I had been asking the aliens that I want to do this, and they've made me do it before. You know, like where you're in a dream or out-of-body experience or whatever, and then you could just like, and they've done this for me before, and where you could just like, if you're standing there and you want to go like 100 yards over to that spot over there or whatever, you just tell yourself to fly over there, and you just like fly over there instead of walking over there. So the alien did give me that experience. It was a total blast, but this is how the lucid dream went down. And there was more parts to it too, but it's like I was going up to this door of these like 2 or 3 25-year-old men, and I handed them something, and it was, I can't remember what it was, but it was like some kind of eviction notice or something like that. And anyway, so I was like knocking on the door, and I didn't really want them to answer the door because, you know, I didn't want them to know that I was like handing them like an eviction notice or whatever. And so anyway, so I turned around and I told myself, you know, to like, you know, I wanted to hurry and get away from the front door. So I told myself to start flying in the air and I was flying about 7 or 8 feet above the ground, and I started flying, you know, from the front door all over the, across the yard, which is a pretty big yard in front of the house, and I started flying. And I started looking down, and I saw this turtle, this big land turtle, a pretty big land turtle. It was like double the size of a normal 3-toed box turtle. Yeah, and I remember thinking, you know, I need to maybe take that turtle, you know, and take it home. But it was getting all agitated. I could tell it was like getting all agitated because it knew I was thinking about keeping it or something, you know. And it was getting all, you know, like agitated and fidgety. And that was kind of funny because this turtle was getting fidgety because it somehow knew that I wanted to kind of keep it. But then I was thinking, I'm not going to keep you. You know, you need to, I was thinking to it how, you know, you need to be, you know, in this grass where you're happy in this big field. You know, it was like a big field, you know, the yard was like a big field in front of that house. But anyway, so yeah, and I remember thinking, what was I thinking? About the turtle. I was thinking, how I needed to just leave it, you know, be or whatever. It would be much happier instead of trying to take it home or whatever. And also, as I was flying over the, you know, the pasture, and I looked down and saw that one turtle, I was thinking to myself, if those men are looking out their front window, they're gonna know that I'm not human, you know, because I'm sitting there like flying in the air. And so that was kind of funny that I was thinking that. And like I say, the other part was, what was the thing I was about to say about the turtle? Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to mention, and like I say, I saw, just one big massive land turtle. And like I say, it was large. It was like 2.5 sizes bigger than a normal box turtle. And like I say, I was like, wow, I was thinking to myself as I was flying and hovering over that turtle, I was like, wow, when you're up high like this, 8 feet above the ground, hovering down, you can see lots of turtles in the damn grass, but, because you're above the ground, you're that high above the ground instead of just standing on your legs on the land or whatever. So anyway, it was funny. The aliens gave me that experience, and it was a lot of fun. And like I say, there was, and then like I say, there was this other lucid dream I had, not this morning, but yesterday or whatever. And it was like 2 or 3 in one morning or whatever. But the other one, I was in this, they're always doing this, sticking me in hotels, and then they stick me in an elevator. They've done this many, many times. But this was the weird part. And this was almost like an amusement park ride. As I was going down and up, it was totally like no gravity. It felt fun. It felt like a ride, like weightless, like I was all weightless as I was going down and up and stuff. And I was thinking, wow, this is like and like I say, I was in this big old hotel. They're always sticking me in hotels. And they've stuck me in elevators many, many, many times. And so as I was going up and down, I was like, wow, this almost seems like a virtual reality experience that I would have while, in bed or whatever. And then after I woke up and everything, about, I don't know, I guess it was about an hour or two later, or maybe not that long later, I was thinking, wow, because when I was having that experience, I really did not know that I was in an altered state. But after I woke up back in 3D, I was like, wow, I really was in an altered state. But in the experience, I really thought I was not. And that's happened time and time again, too. So anyway, those were some fun lucid dreams that the aliens gave me lately. But Joel, he's kind of out of commission for a while. Like I say, he did give me that sex, but it was like all sex. So I couldn't say much about that. And that was just a couple weeks ago. But, But yeah, it's kind of been a while since he's given me virtual reality experience and out-of-body experience where it's like 90% something else and 10% sex. Because if he just does all sex, it's hard for me to do a video about it. So anyway, this experience was in 2014 after I came back from England, about a month. About a month after I came back from England in 2014. And I wasn't, I don't know, maybe I was, I don't know. I could have been asking for an experience. I can't remember. So anyway, this was in I forgot to put that. I need to put 3D. This was in total waking hours in 3D, and it was about 6 o'clock at night. And this was in September, so it was kind of warm out. It wasn't real cold or hot or anything. It was about 6 o'clock at night, or 6:30, and I was driving down the road. And this is all in 3D. And right there I started going up the road from the park and going to the bookstore or whatever. And there's a street that I pass called Barataria Street. And this entity, this being, manifested just right there at the tip of the street and started walking against traffic down the street, bobbling back and forth like he's drunk. That's one of the characteristics of these of these entities. They, and yes, I know most of it's demonic, I already know that. It was like bobbing in and out of traffic. One car did see him because the car, two cars up ahead of me, I noticed didn't even swerve or anything, so that car apparently did not see him. The car right ahead of me did see him because it also swerved. But for some reason, it's really weird, even though these beings can freaking manifest as physical, bobbing down the street like they're drunk, like a zombie, they still cannot be hit physically by a car. I don't know how the hell they do it. Okay, so anyway, okay, only for a split second did I think that was a real human. After a split second, after I first saw him, after a split second, after I saw this being, I knew it was not human. So so as I went past him on up the street, I turned back around. But anyway, the first time that I saw him and I passed him, that my first thought was, wow, and he was really ugly. I mean, he was ugly. His hair was like reddish, coarse. It was kind of just coarse. He was just ugly. And he looked about 50 years old. And like I say, my first thought was that he was drunk. And my first thought was that he had blue medical scrubs on. Just like this color right here. My first thought was that he was drunk and that he was a medical patient that escaped, or a medical patient that escaped the hospital room, prematurely when, that he just didn't want to be in the hospital room, so he escaped, so to speak. And but the funny thing is, patients do not wear blue scrubs. They wear gowns. The aliens are always getting things kind of confused with our reality. Okay, so anyway, that was my first thought, but it was many minutes later or whatever. Or many minutes, maybe even after I got home, I can't remember. I started to think he was also kind of acting. No, I think it was just a few minutes after I thought he was like a patient in a hospital that escaped the hospital room. It was not long after that I started to think he's like a zombie. And at that time, I was listening to a lot about, zombies and stuff. They kept talking about zombies everywhere on YouTube and TV, zombie apocalypse back in 2014. So the alien, I think, was trying to make me think that as well, kind of like a zombie. But anyway, okay, so as I looked at this man, it wasn't a man though, it was an alien. It's a reptilian posing as this human medical patient. Anyway, when I first looked at him, bobbing down the street, walking drunk into traffic, he kept going like way over, and both those two streets are very, very, very narrow. And he kept bobbing, 3 feet into traffic, bobbing into traffic. And he had a tourniquet on the left arm and the tourniquet on the right arm. It was white. And, as far as I remember, it was white. It could have been light blue, but I think it was white. And he had these 1-inch Band-Aids, these 1-inch scratches with Band-Aids over them all over his arms. Left arm and right arm. It was bizarre. Like 1-inch scratches, Band-Aids, all over his right arm, all over his left arm, and all over his neck. As far as I remember, he did have a few on his face as well. And like I said, when I did this template, I almost forgot about the tourniquets. But yeah, as far as I remember, it was like 2 tourniquets on each arm. It's like these beings, they go over and beyond, they go over and beyond. In real life, somebody's not going to have that many freaking Band-Aids all over their arms and all over their neck, and all over their face or whatever. And, but anyway, whenever you encounter these beings, man, they're very scary. But anyway, so after a split second, after I passed him, came back and turned around, because after a split second, I knew he wasn't a human being. So after a split second, after I went back up the road, after I knew that he wasn't human, I turned back around and I went back up the road because I wanted to see him close, really, really close, up and personal. That's when I called my mom and I was like, Mom, you need to come up the street to see this zombie walking down the street. And I even called it a zombie. And she hurried up and got in her car, but he already demanifested by then because, they can't keep their physical form for very long. And so anyway, okay, so another thing I was going to say was, okay, after I went back up the street and turned around because I knew he wasn't human, because I wanted to go past him again and look at him really close and personal, but I still was too scared to drive too slow. You know what I mean? I still was driving slow, but I was too scared to drive really, really slow because these beings are so freaking scary. And so anyway, so I drove a little slower past him, and I looked at him, and okay, this time he had his right hand in his pocket. The first time around, he did not have his hand in his pocket. The second time around, when I went back up the street, he had his hand in his pocket. And the first thought in my brain was, he has a gun. That's what I thought. That he had a gun. Or a knife. I can't remember if I thought it was a gun or a knife, but I think I thought it was a gun. But it was one or the other. And, you know, but I was too scared to come to a complete stop because these beings are freaking just scary as hell. Okay, so, okay, let me make sure I remember everything. The tourniquets. And, oh yeah, and also, this isn't the first time, that other experience, that's not the first time that, at first, you know, they won't have their hands in their pocket, these beings, when they manifest, and then all of a sudden they'll put their hands in their pocket or whatever. Because that happened back in 2004 when that reptilian was posing as like a blue-collar white man. And at first, when he came down the gym, at first he had his hands in his pockets. So that's not the first time these beings like to put their hands in their pockets. Anyway, that's my point. Okay, so like I say, no, this is the most, and I want to make sure I don't forget anything, but the most awesome thing of all. Okay, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But anyway, when you meet these beings, when they manifest, they're always going to walk drunk, talk drunk, walk like a zombie. A lot of times they won't talk at all. And, but like I say, I did know that he was not, you know, human after a split second. And that's why I went back up the street, turned around, and then went back up the street again. And then probably after he passed me, he probably demanifested within a couple seconds after that. My mom said she immediately got in her car and came up the street, and she didn't see him. And I was thinking, well, is he walking around the park down there? Walking around, you know, he maybe made it to the park and started walking around the parking lot. But he already demanifested before he even got to the park, way before he got to the park. You know. And so anyway, okay, this is the most awesome part at all. Let me just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But like I say, yeah, it's kind of like he was trying to make me think he was kind of like a zombie and kind of like a medical patient that escaped the hospital room. You know, he didn't want to be stuck there. And like I say, my first thought was, I mean, okay, that's a drunk dude, but he was a very ugly dude with this reddish, coarse kind of hair, you know, a little longer than that, but he was just ugly, ugly, ugly. Okay, this is the most awesome part at all. Okay, the first time, you know what, the first time that I saw him, I don't think I didn't take a good look at his eyeballs. I just noticed all the freaking 1-inch scratch marks and, you know, 1-inch band-aids covering all over his arm. I mean, like,